Welcome, Reverend Rhonda, to WBAI and Harlem Network News series on gun violence. Reverend Rhonda, please let us know, what is Blackberry Documentary Theater and how was the COPP program born out of Blackberry Productions, and why? Thank you. Thank you for
Hi, thank you for having me on. Blackberry Productions has been doing documentary theater for over 40 something years. And they take issues that are pertinent to the community and to us as a people and to the world and present theater around it, and do activities around documenting what is happening in our communities. So, with Blackberry Productions co-founder Stephanie Berry and Dr. John Martin Green, uh, during around 2014, after Michael Brown was killed, and Tamir Rice, Dr. Green, he wasn't a doctor yet. He was working on his doctorate.
Okay.
And during that time, he was developing a health behavior intervention strategy and survey. And he decided to work with some police officers and youth and doing some workshops and seeing how they could come together and learn more about each other, as a preventive strategy around killing our Black youth. Um, so that was at New Heights Academy in Harlem that he started doing a few workshops. And then he did some workshops downtown at another school, and uh, they were successful. But then Stephanie Berry came up with the COPP Project,
Okay.
and uh, involving police and youth in the community, bringing them together to develop trust, to develop community, and to help people understand that help police officers understand that they are a part of the community that they serve. And the young people understand that the police officers are a part of the community, but that they, as the community together, have to prevent violence, have to prevent uh, the distrust, and have to build the kind of community that they want to live in. So Stephanie Berry, and uh, met with Sheila K. Davis, who's the producing director of the New Professional Theater. They came together, and Sheila K. Davis introduced Stephanie Berry
Mm.
and Dr. John Martin Green to uh, Chief Madry, who was the NYPD commissioner at that time. And they worked together, and then got police officers involved. And then we recruited youth. That's where I came in and recruited youth to
Okay, excellent.
participate with the officers. We started out at the gallery at Sugar Hill, um, which is a part of Broadway Housing, and met during the week in the evenings, once a week. And the officers came, they volunteered or were voluntold, as some would say, to
Okay.
participate. And it was at 2.5 hours each week, once a week. And we utilized the arts, theater, activities to build trust, for people all to have a voice. And it was designed to humanize officers to the youth, and the youth to officers. Um, Dr. John.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not to interrupt you, but it's very significant because as we focus on gun violence, as a member of Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save, and my son also was lost his life and was killed through gun violence on the Shinnecock Reservation. But when we have our day of remembrance, we have police officers who are part of that who have been shot and killed. So it's not only community members. So,
Mhm.
I think it's a full circle. And sorry to interrupt you. Please continue.
That's all
Thank
right. No, that's all right. It's all important and it's all
you.
relevant.
Yes. Thank you.
I have a son, bonus son, who was murdered by gun violence in Texas. So it wasn't by police or anything, it was gun violence. But um, a former detective, uh, Miss Christine Barksdale,
Mm.
uh, retired former detective, uh, began to be involved in the project. And she and Dr. John Martin Green and Stephanie Berry designed the curriculum um, to where she is the nuts and bolts of understanding police thought, mentality, philosophy,
Mm.
and behavior.
Okay.
And, and I was kind of the I was coordinator and continue to be and working with the youth, keeping up with them, talking to them, talking to their schools. And Dr. Green, like I said, helped design all of the curriculum along with Stephanie Berry. So the program was highly successful. When I talk about humanizing one another, sometimes they wrote stories about their first encounter with police. We acted out scenes, uh, or they acted out scenes. Sometimes the police play the youth, and sometimes the youth play the police officers.
Excellent.
Then there would be a processing where we would talk about them and how conflicts get escalated and how uh, are people really listening to one another. So we did a lot of trust, listening, meditation. Uh, uh, Christine did a lot of work around how policing began in the
Mm.
community,
Okay.
which
That's
goes
interesting.
back to slavery.
Wow.
And that's why police really were put, to to get us, for lack of better term.
Mm.
But she discusses the
So that's
history of
very
policing.
interesting. That's very interesting, in terms of the connection, because one of my thoughts was why, communities of color in the police, but that's very interesting to where it all began.
Yeah,
Mm.
and the police officers learn as well as the rest of the community about policing that they didn't know. Um, the are we wanted to have officers who were on the street and officers who were not of color,
Mm.
who were a lot of the officers killing our young people throughout the country. So, but we had a few, but the rest of them were officers who were of color, and even officers of color are trained in a certain way about certain communities and have certain biases, as do people in the community about officers. So, when I became a part of the project, uh, I was not uh, apt to just run up on a police officer and say good morning or good afternoon, or I was leery too because of what has happened to
Mm.
young people in our community and what has happened to my own sons who uh were stopped by police when the stop and frisk was really big. And me telling them, these are my sons. They live down the street with me. He just came in to go to the laundromat. This other young man is a neighbor. They're fine. And the officer's telling me to be quiet, step back. It was none of my business. Even though I was saying that's my son, I'm identifying him. And so
Mhm.
I had a little thing about police officers, for a long time. But um, I grew, they grew, all of
Mhm.
us grew together because when you when you take down the uniform, which in the beginning none of them had on their uniforms
I
unless they
see.
had come straight for work. So that
Mhm.
took away a piece of the barrier between officers and youth and all of us.
Mhm.
And they were just another person that was the power was equally distributed. Um, but you knew they were officers. However, they engaged in the fun and the theater games and the trust exercises and the writing about my first day of kindergarten. I mean, simplistic, some were simplistic and some were heavier, and sharing them with one another. They were grouped in pairs and in triads, and there was um, one officer to every youth and
Okay.
during
So
that
this
time.
was one-on-one to
Yes,
connect. Reverend,
or one on two at that time.
okay.
Yeah,
Reverend
yeah.
Rhonda Akanke, would you just share what your background is? Because you shared when and how you came into work with the COPP program, but what is your background? What is your proficiency? Thank you.
Uh, I have been a youth educator and teaching artist, a professional development trainer. I'm a professional actress and storyteller and an interfaith minister. Youth have been my passion from the time that I was a youth. And um, I just love young people. And I know um, when you are able to commit and connect to a young person between 14 and 22, that's when you can help change their lives or motivate them, or help to empower them to become great citizens and to want to live out their own dreams. But they have to have a voice first. And the only way to get a voice is to feel comfortable and safe wherever you are. And so
Mhm.
that's one of the things I know from well, all of us went through adolescence and teens, but I know from my personal experiences that empowering and engaging with youth early, you can shift whatever energy is not conducive to a strong, powerful community. And especially with our young people, with Black and Brown youth. If we're going to make a difference in the world, if we're going to make a difference in our communities, if we're going to make a difference in what's happening in this country right now, them engaging with the police and understanding they have power to develop the kind of community they want is going to make the difference as to how we live or die in this country. And
Mhm.
so and I have 6 children, um, uh, and 8 grandchildren. So I am deeply, uh,
Deeply invested. And thank you for that. Not necessarily off topic, but I know that you have actually dealt with youth and theater before with the Respect program and working with the great George Faison, the choreographer for The Wiz and many other things. So you had that foundation. So thank you for sharing that. If you could tell us what the some of the outcomes of the program has been, because I believe that the program, the COPP program, which is right here in New York City, I believe Harlem based, has made a pivot from, youth coming in and participating, and now you're working in the schools. So would you share that and what the outcomes are and what that transition has been like? I think that's important.
Well, the programming for the project uh, went. It was at the gallery for a few
Mm.
years, and then we moved to St. James Church up the street on St. Nicholas Avenue. We had several officers who were several officers who. I'm sorry, I had a little technical.
Yeah, it's okay. No, move ahead. Move ahead. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Uh, we had several officers who participated more than once in the project. And after the first cohort, we developed a play called Breathe,
Mm-hmm.
which was written by Stephanie Berry and Candido Torrado and Cassandra Medley, which utilize some of the information from the workshops and the feelings and the uh, the transformations that happened with people to present that program. And Sheila K. Davis from New Professional Theater helped to produce it, and it was presented at Aaron Davis Hall and other spaces. And after that, we moved to doing workshops in other community settings, St. James Church, Street Corner Resources, and then uh, Christine Barksdale, the former detective, did workshops at a school in the Bronx
I see.
um, for at Harlem. I'm sorry,
Okay.
with New Professional Theater, where it was only a few officers
Mm-hmm.
and youth in the classroom in the government classes, because we're talking about civics and we're talking about citizenship on all levels. And so, with the 12th grade class of seniors in civics, and the officers came in, and it was a very successful program. And then we picked it back up this year with at A. Philip Randolph High School.
Okay.
And we, oh, before then, we developed another production called You've Got the Right to Be Heard. And so it's actual testimony, actual writing from police officers and youth. And then, it was also developed by other playwrights. And that will be premiering and touring
Okay. Okay.
in
I,
March. So, anyone interested from schools or community centers or anywhere that would like to see the presentation and as professional actors performing in it. But originally, it was the officers and the youth where we presented
mhm.
it at Eagle Academy and other places, other schools.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's developed into many different initiatives. So we just finished a program at A. Philip Randolph High School with the civics class, with the seniors and junior civic class. And the teacher was excellent. The principal was excellent. The head of the government department was excellent. The students were excellent. The officers were excellent. And the commitment to come into the schools, now they had on uniforms because it was in the middle of the day and, they were at work. But we were able to dismantle the thoughts of the officers in their uniforms by doing the activities that we did. And we know they had on uniforms, but the young people were not. They accepted them, they engaged with them, and the officers and the youth talked about
Hmm.
how they learned to see each other differently.
Hmm.
You
That's
know,
that's excellent. one of the things I have to get to our pressing question, um, because this is our series on gun violence. How does the COPP program impact gun violence from youth awareness, police awareness perspective? Is that a conversation in terms of the gun violence that's happening in our community and how to mitigate it? Thank you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's one of the questions that asked. We have a pre-survey and a post-survey, which was designed by former Detective Christine Barksdale and John Martin Green. And in the surveys, we ask a lot of these questions around violence, around their thoughts about police and the police thoughts about youth, and then do them again at the end. But the youth and the officers gain an understanding through their interactions with one another, through the documents, the documentaries, the other things that they read, and through the participation in the project about gun violence. They do scenes around gun violence.
Wow. Okay.
And
Well, that is absolutely powerful, um, and just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing and continuing the impact that you're doing with the COP program. How can the community get in touch with you if they have questions or want to give support or want you to come to their schools? How can they reach out to you? Thank you.
they can reach out to me at this phone number 347-872-5650. They can reach out to Dr. John Martin Green at johnmartingreen@gmail.com.
Okay.
They can reach out to me at my email, rmcleannoor@yahoo.com. We, like I said, people that want to bring the show, which is will be premiering in February or March, to their schools or centers, please call me and let's talk about it. Anyone that
Okay.
wants to donate for us to continue the work, we are going to start a next series of 6 weeks at the Eagle Academy in Harlem.
Your All
Uh,
Male Academy. That's amazing.
yes,
Well,
at
thank
All
you.
Male
Um,
Academy.
all right. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for the work that you do. And thank you for joining us in our gun violence series and making a difference. Have a great
Thank you for
Thank
having me,
you.
and
You're
thank you
welcome.
for the work that you're doing on the series.
Okay. Thank you.